And we're back for another very special episode of LiucciCast with Sean Porter after a big win this week down in Florida in the swamp. And this episode is very special because we have a dear friend of mine and a dear teammate of mine, one of the greatest receivers to ever walk foot on Texas A&M campus, Mr. Ryan Swope.
Man,
Thank you
for that intro, man. Thank you for that intro, man.
And brought to you by our good friends at Aggieland Chevrolet. Go see the crew out there and get you dialed up in time for the holidays. That little loved one you want to buy a car for. I know y'all are outside. Call up Aggieland Chevrolet. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. They got me hooked up. They're great here in College Station.
Or what?
Absolutely. Go in there and say you want the Liucci special. All right, guys. I guess the topic on everyone's mind today is what do y'all think of P. Diddy?
Of what?
No. Go ahead, Sean. Take it home.
What?
The game.
Hey,
A&M 33, Florida 20.
Oh.
Yeah, can we just talk about the offense and how electrifying they looked this week?
Electrifying.
Let's start there.
And the offensive line looked great. I didn't have high expectations for the offensive line going into this season, but 3 games in, they're standing up pretty solid, getting pretty clean pockets. So these guys are much improved. They're doing great this year.
Yeah, that offensive line. I mean, they just won that complete battle up front. They didn't only just win it; they dominated it.
They did.
And then obviously this quarterback, number 10.
Number 10.
You've always liked him.
I have.
So Reed.
I have. What he showed me in that bowl game last year, I mean, kid got thrown in there after Henderson going down and just poised. I thought he handled that situation really well. And then here we are on the road in the swamp, a hostile environment.
Wasn't totally sure he was starting until warm-ups.
I know.
Good feeling, but he was not sure.
That's the crazy thing.
He was still just so poised, not knowing, still just so poised.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference in the game.
100%. But did y'all see like how the team was vibing from him?
That's what I was saying. I thought they looked like they were having fun. They were playing faster.
Could you tell it was like a different team? Like,
I agree. The offense looked completely different with him back there. We talked about it last week, wanting to see what they would do with a mobile quarterback. Well, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. When we got a mobile quarterback and you saw the offense was completely different.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, Colin Klein, hey, this week I told him, I said it when he had a little down game in the week 1. I have to say it when he had a great game, man. He's putting it together, and I think that Marcel Reed is a big piece of that. Him having a mobile quarterback, a nice little kind of toy to play with in that offense, man, it's looking great. It looks great so far.
And they didn't do much, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't do a whole lot of running him on design. They did enough, and it was very effective. Could you imagine, that evolving as both sides get more and more experience and comfortable?
He's a little slight, so I don't want to see him running too much, but I do like how exciting he is in the open field. Mm-hmm. Once he breaks the pocket and gets out there, man.
I think my man's still looking for his ankles.
Number 12. Put that ball on skates, man. Yeah. That was nasty.
Yeah.
He's just elusive. I think just nothing against Connor, but I just think 10 fits his system.
I agree.
I think he gives us a chance to win. You know, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. Just to have a guy capable of tucking the ball and running just extends drives and creates a synergy that you just really can't game plan for. I mean, playing dual threat quarterbacks, it's just, it's hard to contain those guys. And, man, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I got another question for you, Ryan. So with the offense, right? One of my kind of negatives I would say about our offense so far this season is I feel like the receivers should be getting more separation in their routes. I feel like they should be getting more open, giving the quarterback bigger targets to make the game a little bit easier. With the transition to 10, do you think that it kind of makes the offense easier for our whole team because he kind of moves around back there and creates a running threat, a big-time running threat, as he scrambles? Do you think that makes the game a little easier on those receivers out there?
That's actually a really good question because it makes me kind of flash back to Ryan Tannehill and then a Johnny Manziel, which I had the pleasure of playing with both of them.
Yep.
Tannehill, I mean, probably one of the prettiest balls I've ever seen. But that kind of offense, like you've got to get your depth in the route, you've got to be accurate, you've got to do all the fundamentals, everything, or else the play doesn't work. And you've got to execute it to a very fine millisecond, inch, whatever it might be. You got to do it or else you don't get your depth, you're off, the timing's not there. Dual threat, it's kind of a different deal. Johnny comes in and it's kind of, he extends a play. And Kendrick, with Mond and those guys, that's, as a receiver, man, that's where you make your money. Finding the voids of these defenses, not to mention you extend drives, the defense gets tired. And so that's where, as a receiver, you go make your money. And you kind of, just keep the play alive. And what's up?
No, along those lines, you're talking about it, and I'm like, you went through this. And I talked to McGee yesterday. He went through it. He got hurt, shoulder, 2 games into his senior year. Gerard started playing really well. What was it? What you were playing here then too? Like when Gerard got hurt, hurt his shoulder, was a proven quarterback,
Right.
and Tannehill came in, and all of a sudden things started moving. And it's nothing against like Connor, it's nothing against Gerard, it's nothing against McGee. It's like, here's an opportunity. Things were looking one kind of way, and then all of a sudden you were a receiver then. What did you feel like you got a new lease on life when Tannehill came in? All of a sudden, you guys started. I think his first game he threw for almost 500 yards against Tech. A couple games later, you're scoring 4 or 5 touchdowns against Baylor. So, what was that like as a receiver? I mean, did it kind of rejuvenate you?
Yeah, for sure. I think it just, injury is something you just can't control. You can't dictate it, and it happens. And especially at a quarterback position, it takes time to mentally and physically get ready. And so, Tannehill got his number called, and him and I had kind of been working a chemistry on, he was running with the twos, and he kind of taught me how to play receiver.
Yep.
Because he was
That's
a
wild.
phenomenal receiver.
He was a really, really good receiver. I tell people that all the time.
That is wild that the Pro Bowl quarterback taught the all-time A&M receiver how to play receiver.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty cool. So, but we had
It's perfect, actually.
Yeah.
It worked, and so we had kind of built a chemistry and a trust just through all that in the summers. And but yeah, I think it definitely gives a new light, and I think that the defense, special teams, everybody kind of feeds off of that.
Yeah.
Kendrick, what do you think about just these receivers separation? Are you? I know we can be better.
Are you seeing progress?
Are you seeing progress, or do you?
I feel like we'll see more of an improvement with Reed at quarterback, because like you said, the freelance plays, like you can get open. The defense isn't really worried about you as much as him running the ball. So I feel like with him in, we'll get more improvement with the receivers getting open, because they don't have to be, like he said, tactical on routes. They don't have to be defined, crisp in their routes, because you have a quarterback that can run the ball.
They should be able to freeze them more too, right?
Yeah, from a defender's perspective, that's it's just weird. It's like just something in the back of your head that you're thinking, I might be covering my guy right here, but I'm just thinking about, he broke the pocket. There's nobody containing him, nobody keeping him in anymore. I have to kind of play that little cat and mouse game with him, and that changes the game sometimes. The receiver goes upfield, touchdown. So.
Yeah, man, I want to know, like, as a receiver, but you're a linebacker, so when you have like a pocket quarterback versus like a dual threat like Marcel,
right?
I mean, how much harder is it to cover a guy and just keep him accounted for at all times? I mean, is that a big deal?
It's just something else to think about. I just remember back in our college days, we played against Baylor. RG3, back there running around, he'd won the Heisman or was about to win the Heisman or whatever. But it was just spy that guy. Like we got good athletes too, so we just got to spy him. We had a great pass rush almost the entire time that we played here.
Yeah.
So it's like we have a great we had an advantage against those guys almost always. From my perspective. So it's a big difference in the week game planning. Right?
What is that like? How do you prepare for a guy that can bust off 150 yards and go throw for 3 touchdowns?
So it's like you can't, Because it's not, the run plays aren't like sweep. Okay, so we know they're going to line up in this formation and run a stretch to this side. We know they're going to line up in this formation and run duo, running the
Right.
But with the quarterback, there's no run plays, It's just kind of
freelance.
It's freelance. It's like he's going to drop back. Oh, y'all decided to all kind of rush on the outside lanes? Oh. I'll at you later.
That play he did, was it the third play? Mm-hmm. And they didn't even pick up the blitzer. Someone made a point. It's like, that's pretty much the same play Connor got hurt on last year, where the linebacker, I think it was the linebacker, came straight in, unblocked, and he saw it, and just like you said, they were outside. He went straight up the middle, boom, 31 yards on 2nd and 21.
That's huge.
And they're on their heels. It felt like the rest of the game.
Right.
I wasn't comparing him to Johnny.
No.
No one is. But it reminded me of that play on that first drive when y'all were at Alabama, where he scrambled, took off for about 30-something yards, and you could feel the whole crowd go, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
And it's different. It's Florida, about to fire a coach. It's national champs. We all understand what I'm saying here, but it felt like that crowd they were really loud at the beginning. And that run, everyone was like, oh, shit, we suck. And it really was like they said, oh, we suck again. And he took the crowd out with how he played early, I thought, which that part I wasn't expecting A&M to do. And that was, to me, the most impressive thing as a team. They just went out and scored on their every drive in the first half for the second week in a row. And it's 20-0. And then the next thing you know, it's 33-7, game over. So what did you think, Sean, of along those lines? They iced it with that pick six. The defensive performance on Saturday.
I thought the defense played a solid game. We went down to the Swamp, played a solid game. It kind of got a little murky there at the end, right? But in the kind of nuts and bolts of the game, they played well. They were in their spots, played a good game. I haven't seen the stat sheet. I asked Richard for a stat sheet back there, but it looked pretty good to me. I saw a lot of splash plays.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of splash plays that I've been kind of waiting to see,
or
the beginnings of them. Yeah. So it's the start of something good. That's how we want to bust into the SEC and kind of make our presence felt and show these guys we're ready to go.
Did you think, speaking of young quarterbacks, did you think Billy Napier made a mistake at all by I know you're real familiar with Lagway. We know they're getting the stats. Good job, Zane. Come on.
Shout out to my boy.
you, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
There was no way I would have
Fresh
thought
off
he
the
was
printer,
still
man. These are
listening.
still warm.
There was no way I would have thought you were still listening back there. Did you? So he throws Lagway in there. The fans were clamoring for it. I looked up Graham Mertz's stats. Me and Swope did before this. Graham Mertz last year completed 73% of his passes, 20-something touchdowns, 3 picks.
Look at his receivers.
Got sacked 31 times.
That's a good point.
And still, so do you think, clearly they went in, I guess what I'm asking is this, second half, they went in with a plan where Lagway is going to play the first drive of each half, second drive of each half. If you finally got something going on offense and they went right down the field and Mertz was throwing darts, and then that next drive, would you have deviated from your plan and left him in there to see if he was heating up after halftime and they'd found something, or would you have stuck with it and put the freshman in? You're a coach now.
You want to keep the momentum going as much as possible, so I think you wait a little bit. But, I mean...
One more drive, right? Like, hey, sit tight, we're going to go back in.
You go down, you score, you want to keep that momentum going, you want to keep the defense on their toes. Make them adjust to what you're doing. And I think they adjusted to what we were doing in the wrong way instead of the right way.
What did you think of the
I've always hated the two quarterback system.
You do.
I've never
screws
liked
your
it.
offense.
I've always thought that if one guy's better than the other, let's just roll with him until he's not good enough anymore. I've never liked the switch a guy in and out every other series. That never really works, right? I think that Florida probably should have stuck with Lagway. Like, if they were going to do it, just do
go
it.
all in.
But I think sometimes in those type of situations, it gets a little touchy because you got a 5-star guy that you paid all this money to, supposed to be the top prospect, right?
Especially with the new NIL
What if he
crap,
goes
man.
out there against a good Texas A&M defense, good D-line, good secondary, and gets toasted out there in his
Hurts
first
his
big game, kills his confidence, right? Now it's, oh shit, can I even play against these, people? So
David Carr is him.
yeah, so sometimes the coaches and the organization is, they get a little nervous about that type of stuff.
It's so funny too. It's not funny. It's the reality of college football now. You talking about that's a real factor, that NIL money, and not just Billy Napier, but all the powers that be at Florida sitting there really going, hey, whether you last or we're going to have a new coach in here, that's our quarterback.
Yep.
And so he's got to be happy. And then you got Napier sitting there going, yeah, but I have to win this game right now against A&M. You know, like it is a weird tug of war.
If your back's against the wall, do you say, you know, I'm going to – so is that – what I'm saying is his back's against the wall. He goes with I'm just going to go with my best guns, let them figure it out later, right?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired on, you know, my terms, right?
Swinging, yeah.
So is his way 2 quarterbacks every other series?
I know.
That's the best, you know.
Probably why he's getting fired.
As an offensive player, that does not keep you in the groove. Like, that gets you out of a groove.
Every
Like,
time.
We tried it with Solomon one year, and it just
What was
doesn't
that?
work.
Was that Starkle and Kellen?
It just doesn't work. They're 2 different quarterbacks. You got one guy that can sling it and one guy that runs it. Like, that doesn't work for receivers or offense.
Yeah, it does throw your timing off. And I mean, as a player, if I was ever sitting on the sideline, I was pissed off, man. So how to manage that, I have no idea. But I thought, what's his name? Mertz,
Yep.
I thought he's pretty good.
He didn't do bad.
I thought he's pretty good. I'd stuck with him.
And I don't think it would have mattered, by the way. Like Sean said, starting out, you know, A&M came out ready to play and win that game. Like, I don't think, I think it would have been a lot more competitive.
I don't think so.
You know?
No, our defense was.
They were.
Yeah, no, I mean,
They played so good, man. I was proud of
I
them.
guess by
They
competitive,
tackled really
I mean,
well.
They
Especially
did.
with the conditions, like, they handled everything extremely well.
Did they give up?
Tackled really well for sure.
Tackled
I noticed that.
How many big plays did they give up? Couple in the passing game, none really in the running game.
I haven't reviewed the linebacker blitz plays yet, so.
I mean, well, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's going to help me write my article tonight.
Jesus.
No, I thought they were, without watching it and just watching that game live and looking at the stats, you know, they did what they hadn't done in the first couple games, which is they gave up nothing. I talked to Nick Scorton about this today. They didn't give up any long runs. There was one where the dude, his knee hit, and it was a loss, and then he slipped, and he could have gone for big yard, but it didn't happen. It was a 4-yard loss. But that was really the only time where you kind of held your breath and thought they might rip one. I just thought they did a great job, Sean.
We shut the run down. We play well in the run game. I mean, and that's kind of what we've been doing every week. Week 1, we play well in the run game, let a few bust out. Week 2, play well in the run game. At the end of the game, let a couple bust out, right? Week 3, same exact thing, except for we didn't have those mental mistakes. We didn't miss those gaps.
Turnovers.
We didn't have 2 guys in one gap. And like you said, we finally started causing turnovers, right?
Yeah.
We got a couple sacks. I think we look good. I hope we can continue on this trajectory.
Is there anybody on the defense that's really catching your eye right now?
Number 3 popped out on
Ratcliffe.
tape to me. Yeah, Ratcliffe popped out on tape to me. So, I mean, I'm excited to see all these young guys moving forward. I love the energy in our defense right now. Energy in the secondary, a couple new faces mixed in with our old faces. There's a lot of, good mojo going on in our defense. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. They're getting fit. It seems like they're getting more physical, which to me means they're more comfortable and confident.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, they look good.
What do y'all need to see this week, Bowling Green?
Man, I think
A team that took Penn State
they took
into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they did.
Last year, they said they were down at halftime. Last year to Michigan, 14-7 or something at halftime. The national champ. So I mean, they're a capable MAC team if you show up not ready to roll.
For sure. No, we gotta come ready. It'd be good to get that game back on Kyle Field. But I think, these games you really find, who your players are, stay focused, task at hand, one game at a time, and just go out there and be dogs, man. Get after it, and if we continue to do what we did last week, we shouldn't have any problem with Bowling Green. What I was really excited about, no turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean that's huge.
I think that's 2 weeks in a row of that. I think so.
I think you're right. But yeah, I mean, just taking care of the football, tackling, swarming, and our kicker's been pretty efficient too, hasn't he?
Right up until the last two. He missed the last two. I don't think he had missed one in the first
The first
two and a half games.
Did he miss the last 2 field goals?
Both at 40. And I don't know that field. I don't know what that field
was wet conditions.
Yeah, it was tough
different.
conditions.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's been pretty solid. Mm-hmm. And our punter's great.
Yeah, I'm liking him.
Golly.
I'm liking him. I like our potential in the
Special
return
teams.
game with Bussy.
Bussy's he's fun to watch.
He's an exciting
What
guy.
do you think of Bussy, man? You think how's he going to fit in this offense? How do you kind of see him?
Anais Smith.
Anais, yeah, a little
Just
bit
keep
of everything.
moving around,
Yeah.
keep him involved.
I always wish they would have handed the ball to Anais more, like motioning it. And I think Anais wanted that too, but just motioning him back there. I think you'll see them do more of that with Bussy as he like really gets to knowing exactly what he's supposed to be doing in the offense.
How are his hands compared to like Anais?
Really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nice caught a ton of passes, but
Anais was different.
he's got
good
really
hands.
good.
He was
He's got
nice,
really good hands.
Solid hands.
Good.
So, last thing about that, what I think the game to me, Bowling Green, what I was most impressed with. Again, we talked about going out there and just showing up and handling business on the road, forgetting about any kind of streak or any of that crap. They went and did it in front of 90,000 of desperate fans and a desperate team and a desperate coach. I thought that was like a mature effort, a growth, a big. So now comes, can you go from that to coming home and not overlooking a non-Power 5 team? So that's what I want to see is just more maturity from them, and I'll walk out of there feeling really good. I want to talk college football big picture. What'd y'all see this weekend? Who should have walked away feeling the best after this weekend? Because it doesn't seem like it would have been, well, maybe it was Georgia, because they survived such a crappy game and still won.
That ain't
That
a good
one
feeling.
shocked me.
That's not a great
That's not a
feeling
good
at all.
feeling. That's
No.
a real bad feeling, man.
Complete opposite.
Did it shock you, that score? Or
It shocked me, but I mean, at the end of the day, they walked away with the W. I mean, when you drop the ball like Notre Dame, that's dropping the ball.
Yeah.
What Georgia did is got a tough win.
Yeah.
You know, against a team that maybe shouldn't have been in the game with them. So they might have just fell asleep and then woke up, you know,
and it was on
in
the
time.
road in the SEC, whatever.
Right.
I think that may be the best thing
For them?
for them. And I think Kirby will use that. He'll go watch the film, and you know they're banging right now at practice.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know that, and I think sometimes go look at Nick Saban last year. I mean, sometimes they got punched around.
Yeah, they almost lost to South Florida.
And I think, and even Coach Saban came out and said that was the best thing that could have happened for their team, and it created gave them a little bit of a chip, and you know, you got to earn everything in this league. That's the thing. And so they did walk away with a W. I know that Texas jumped them in the rankings, and I'm sure Kirby loves that.
Yeah.
He'd
Oh,
rather
yeah.
be there anyways.
No question.
And so I think
They were making up last year saying that no one respected them and no one gave them a
right.
chance. They
Yeah.
said they were ranked for. No, you were like one all year.
Need that motivation. Need that bulletin board material.
I think they'll get back in line. I'm not too worried about them. And plus, Kentucky's they're a well-coached football team,
Yeah.
and you know they ran the ball really pretty well.
How bad is Purdue, by the way, that Notre
Oh, my
Dame scored
gosh.
66?
Oh my gosh!
What?
happened, dude?
I didn't understand that one.
I thought that was like a basketball score or something, man. It was like 80. What was it? You talking about the Purdue?
Notre Dame.
What was the
It
score?
was 66 to nothing.
66, yeah.
I thought they scored at least once.
Did they? Yeah.
think
It
so.
was at one point the score I think was 66.
No, you're talking about Tennessee when they put up 70, whatever.
No,
they did.
Tennessee scored 65 in the first half. That's my answer to the question I'm about to ask y'all.
What?
Outside of Notre Dame, outside of Texas and Ohio State, my team that I'm like, that's a really damn good team, and I think they should be in. They won't be because they didn't come from there. But I think if I'm watching football right now, very few teams look better than Tennessee. Is there a other team that you guys are watching that you're like, keep an eye on them because they're going to be right there at the end of this thing?
Maybe not a team that I think is going to be right there at the end of this thing, but a team I've been watching that's been really interesting this season is Nebraska, man, with Matt Rule down there.
Yeah,
Rayola.
Seems like he's got those guys playing together. The only crazy thing is the Patrick Mahomes clone, but
Yeah, I don't like
Who's
that.
claiming he's not?
I don't like
He's
that.
like, I've had this haircut since
Probably has, but he's probably been watching Patrick Mahomes since he was a sophomore in high school,
I think
too.
his timeline didn't add up.
It does not add up at all.
But other than that, Matt Rule has that team playing well, and they're playing together, and they're, like the energy in
Playing defense.
playing defense. The energy in Nebraska is kind of starting to get back to those old ways, and Nebraska is kind of historically one of the better programs out here.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I think USC's pretty good.
I'm gonna tell you,
Do you agree or disagree?
I agree, but
I
I've
think
only
they're pretty
watched
good.
them. I've only watched them once against LSU, and LSU I think
They finally
is
got a defense.
LSU
They do.
barely
got some
escaped. They shouldn't have beat South Carolina. You talk about them.
They beat them now.
Yeah, I get it, but damn, what a terrible way to go out. Did you see it? The pick six?
Yeah.
And that call. I mean, come on. When even the guy that hit Noah on the hip, when is football? It's just never going to be football again. I love A&M getting a 15-yarder and us moving down the field there. If that's targeting in football now,
We're in
what
new
are we
times.
doing?
This is different times we're playing in.
I got
wouldn't
one
have
more
made it.
for you. Who you got?
No.
Me?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, y'all are going to be surprised. Texas State.
They're fun. Well,
They're
that coach,
exciting.
Who's their
They're
coach?
G.J.
They are.
Kinney.
They are exciting. The offense is phenomenal. The quarterback is great. Like, they just have juice. They have
Yeah.
that swagger.
I like
Texas
it.
State, huh?
Texas State.
I mean, he didn't really answer. He completely.
What?
I basically said, "Who's going to be there at the end of this?"
That's not what he
Texas
had,
State.
man.
He picked
Alabama.
Texas State.
Alabama's going to be there at the end. Alabama, I think, is a better team and coming off more, them switching their coach, and everybody kind of thinks there's a chink in their armor right now, but the players don't think that.
They
and
still
they're,
got the same guys.
They still got the same swag, right?
Well,
So I
last I
think
checked, that coach is like 115-10 in his career at like every step of the way.
he ain't bad either. So, I think they got good players, good coach. They're going to be there at the end.
I got one more.
And technically, Texas State could be there at the end. Just so
Hey, they would have had
Yeah,
a great.
they
If they
actually
had beat
can.
Arizona State, they'd had a great chance, and they really should have beat them.
I know. Kansas State. They're pretty good.
They are pretty good.
That quarterback.
It's another really good coach, by the way. Kleiman. These dudes that come from they like Elko's like that too. You look, he's playing one of his old teams, Bowling Green. He's like Penn, Bowling Green, Wake Forest, then finally breaks through at Notre Dame. And it's.
Who's your wild card?
I said it. It was not wild card, but I think Tennessee looks as good as anybody. And I'm going to ask you this, Swopey. Who is going to have the rougher weekend this weekend? OU at home against Tennessee with Josh Heupel, who won them a national title and got fired from Oklahoma by Bob Stoops 10 years ago this week. Is it going to be Tennessee and Nico and company? Is OU going to have the worst weekend, or is Michigan? Because I've watched that Michigan team now. They struggled with Arkansas State. They got to go to play at USC this weekend with that lack of offense against that newfound defense.
Michigan's in trouble.
Yeah, I don't.
We've been saying that since week one.
Man, I
Yeah.
watched them against Texas, and I just don't think that they're the same team that they were last year. USC's a good football team. They've got playmakers, receivers. That quarterback's pretty salty. I think USC will win that game pretty easily. And then as far as Oklahoma, Tennessee, who's Oklahoma played? Have they played anybody?
Yeah, they beat U of H 14-12.
That's
U
the
of
game
H
I
is
was
not good.
Yeah, so
And then they beat they
crushed
by
somebody.
Tulane. No, it was a close competitive game against Tulane, but Tulane's actually
They took it
pretty
away
decent.
in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. That Tulane win was your Kansas State team struggled with Tulane. Tulane's actually pretty good.
are they?
Yeah,
They're decent.
They are.
They're decent.
They should
made
have
a
beat
bowl
OU
game,
a couple of years ago. They got stopped on a fourth down in the red zone. They beat USC and Caleb Williams in that Cotton Bowl.
Yep.
Now, I'll tell you, the guy they hired, I know Ross Bjork told me during the A&M search, the search firm recommended this guy at South Alabama, right? Well, the jump from South Alabama to Texas A&M would be overwhelming, right? So, but they came back saying that dude is a future star. He's going to be like a next Kirby Smart type dude. He is a future star in coaching. Well, he made the jump from South Alabama to Tulane now. So I don't know this, but I'm assuming they're probably a pretty well coached, well run team.
I do want to talk to Swope about a very serious matter. Tua Tagovailoa over the weekend having his third really, really bad concussion on the field where he's twitching and his arms are up in the air and he's having these, spasms and everything along with the concussion. This being it's not his third concussion, right? This is his third
time
really,
where
really
he's-
big
yeah.
concussion that everybody can see, and he's showing physical signs of it, right? He might be at concussion 25 by now, right? Everybody, you getting concussions. Concussions are not just the big ones when you go to sleep, on the field, right? As somebody who went through a lot of concussions in your career and just, had some of that stuff,
Yeah,
what do you
man.
think, Swopey?
Man, I'm praying for Tua because I'm a fan of him. Great kid. Man, that's tough. Honestly, there's no science behind one concussion or another concussion. One thing that I do know, though, is once you have one concussion, you are more susceptible to getting more concussions. And man, kids, Tua's got two, beautiful kids and family, and whatever he decides to do, it's just I had to make that decision. It's get emotional just because you love football so much, but you also realize football is just a game, and there's so much more to life than throwing a little football around in the air. So I feel for him, and I don't know what he's going to do, but I think everybody at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself and your health, and get help and see doctors and whatever it is that he needs to do to get better. But definitely something he's got a big decision to make, and his decisions. I was listening to the radio, some people talking about it, and it sounds like it can get kind of dicey about who's making the decision in terms of how the contract's written.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm just praying for him and hope he gets better and makes the right decision because you got to remember it's just a game. So.
I agree. I think it's just a game, and you got to think about your family and your kids and his wife and his father and his mother and everybody, the whole ecosystem around them. Tua's made a bunch of money playing football already, man. We grow up as little kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, playing Pop Warner, getting to college, playing with our buddies, right?
Yeah, man.
And it's what we're all dreaming about is making that money, man. Going to the NFL and making a career out of this game that we love so much, right? And making those millions, right? And as a quarterback, Tua, everybody has to hold their hands up to him. He won a national championship at Alabama. He had a great career in the NFL, made a bunch of money playing quarterback. What else is there to life, man? Yeah. You can ride off into the sunset, go enjoy your kids and your family and be healthy and happy. Yeah. Be able to talk and walk and do everything that we do today.
I think we all – go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the biggest thing is I think that gets in the way is your pride and your competitive nature. Just as a professional athlete, even a collegiate athlete, that's the one thing that gets in the way of actually seeing, all the beautiful things after football. Right. And you're so zoned in on competing and winning and trying to get a championship and being the best at your position.
To a fault
sometimes. To a fault, yeah, exactly. And so, when I had to make that decision, I talked to teammates like Sean and Spencer Neely, and I talked to some of, my brothers. And man, just I hope he talks to the right people because those people are the ones that told me, we want, you're gonna have family, your kids, and this is so much bigger than such a game. And I hope he talks with those people. And I know those guys, his teammates. I hope that they're coming out and telling them, man. I hope you would tell me,
it's
hey,
okay.
Man,
it's okay to. You don't have to do that.
Exactly.
Swope, I love Swope. I don't give a fuck if we're in shoulder pads and we're out in the fucking wild, with nothing, right? This is my brother, right? Regardless. So football is just a game, man. We build these bonds and these relationships with people. That's what it's about. Yeah. It's not about that.
And I think his teammates are probably telling him that. The one thing that's getting in the way is just his drive and he's. He's competitive and
he don't want to stop.
He don't want to stop,
but
man.
It's at some point, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in all sports too.
Yeah.
I mean, not combat sports, especially
boxing.
the most
I love
comparable.
boxing.
Yeah,
you see it all the time, man. Those old boxers
way too long.
Yep.
But yeah, I was watching a clip the other day. Evander Holyfield. I forgot he fought like one of these UFC guys in a boxing match a couple years ago, and he was like 58 years old.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's like he was showing signs way early. So I mean, yeah, it's. But you said it. Like he's made enough money to where he did what every guy's dream is.
Right. That's what
he played
dreamed
professional sports at the highest level, won championships, and made enough money to provide for his family for his whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just, I think it's going to take, like you said, some time to reflect. And
Absolutely.
I would predict
He's going to play.
that he's going to play.
Yeah, me too.
That breaks
I do.
my heart.
I know it does.
I
but
think he's going to do it till one more of those happens, and you hope that
Last
doesn't
time
ruin
we
his
said
life.
that. Last time, whenever
Yeah, we were all thinking that.
he was
You're
rolling
right.
around on the field last time, and we said he's going to do it again until one more of those happen, and it just happened.
Yeah.
And what'd you just say now?
It's going to be interesting if someone shuts him down.
Who's going to shut him down though?
I don't know. I
know
don't know that
we've been wrong
organization.
this
I don't know
episode.
his.
maybe the
Some people, the wife can just shut him down.
The NFL needs to step in. I mean, if they care, right? They act like they care. They changed all those rules.
I wonder at what point the NFL will become liable. If
they should be liable.
He goes out there again, and they say, "Well, no, he wanted to play," and they're like,
Y'all don't remember the game? Yes.
7 days later and played
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Like at some point, he's stumbling on the field. That's
No, he played within the same game before. He got a bad concussion,
that was the
wiggled and
first one.
wobbled
Yeah,
around,
but he
stood
played
up,
the
and Mike
same next
McDaniels put him
a
back
week
in.
later.
like
yeah.
at some point, someone needs to step in. I think that was what started the whole situation. Yes, he's had concussions before, but how many has he had like that before?
Yeah.
Protect him from himself, I said.
All right, I'm going to protect you from yourself. We got to go.
It's really you? You want to
doing
talk
another
30
one.
minutes at a time?
No, it was him. We were like wrapping
Hey,
up.
can we talk about Moose Muhammad though? What the hell?
We
that
didn't
kid-
even mention him.
Man, he's
man. Yeah, let's
such a
talk about
talented
Moose.
freaking player.
I
But
agree.
man, what is he doing on some of those players? He just looks like he's in Lollyland.
Oh,
man.
man.
And then you'll make a snag.
I
like-
know.
You
man.
said that. You
Does
said
he
that,
not know
though.
what's going on, or is he just like? Is he tired?
He ain't tired.
Do you know? Did you play with Moose?
No, he got here right when I left.
Okay.
Seems like he doesn't care what's going on, and I hope that can change. But it seems like once you get so deep into your career, very hard to change bad habits like that. So I mean,
God, he's gonna get Marcel or Connor killed, man.
if you don't care enough to get it right, man, I kind of agree. And I was at the beginning of the season like, what's going on with Moose? Where's Moose? I love Moose as a
He's an
player. I love the
enigma.
crowd reaction to Moose, all of that. But man, you cannot be out. This is the first time I've seen it live, and exactly those same types of things. Just you can't be out there looking like a zombie, like you have no clue what's going on.
There was that play Marcel tried throwing it to him. Did you see that, Kendrick? He was like looking at him, and he was just like he wasn't even looking back at the quarterback. He's
not
just
blocking,
like,
but just the
wasn't even
wrong-
blocking. He was just
Yeah.
had his back to him.
I saw that.
He did it twice, man. But he's talented, and I think that he flipped the switch last week, McNeese, and because he didn't even play against Notre Dame, but somebody must have. I wonder if his dad called him and was like, "Hey, dude, you better snap out of it."
He's so
man.
old, man. It's too late. Too late to break bad habits, man. You're what, junior in college, right? Or senior in college.
He's so talented, though, that I just hope that I think he could be an NFL receiver, but
agree.
he needs to, change whether it's his attitude or work ethics. I don't know, but he's got a lot of potential.
All right. Well, we got Bowling Green. We will talk next week. Sean's got work to do. Swope's got kids to tend to. Kendrick and I have dinner to tend to.
Smash the ant with the
go.
sledgehammer.
Hey, appreciate it,
week.
man. This was fun, man. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Beat the hell out of
stuff.
Bowling Green. Appreciate it.
BTHOBG.